Hello and welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage and today we're going to be having a look at AVAX. Before we jump into the price action, I just want to say thank you for watching. If you're enjoying the content, please smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it is free to join. Okay, so let's get into this fun stuff now. So primarily with AVAX, we were talking about a few options within here. And effectively what we were looking at is the potential that either we could have completed into this low point here of this 1054, or alternatively we could be looking for something like a diagonal still to play out. You can potentially argue that this could have completed in a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 as a diagonal, and that could have been a fifth wave completed, in which case we're looking for either a three-wave structure to the upside as of ABC, or alternatively this could become a bigger impulsive move. So the key zone of support here is this 1229 to this 1650. Failing to hold this 1229 zone and actually losing this 1054 would indicate that we'd potentially have more continuation to the downside. And the way that I would be looking at that would then be potentially something like this, where we form a contracting diagonal to the downside, looking to complete this move in a way like this, where this becomes a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 5 to the downside. So this is still viable at the moment, really, until we actually cross this 3089 zone. We need to just be aware that we could still see some further rejection to the downside. If we do, however, move above that, we'd have to look at this potentially as a completed move in here, either as an ABC pattern, um, or potentially, we could. The thing is, what we were looking for is basically this diagonal option, or alternatively, we were looking for that potential to argue that we have a flat correction here. So if we develop impulsive moves to the downside from here, and instead of following a three-wave structure as this diagonal should, if we rather form something like this as a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, and a 5 down, then we would be more likely to say that actually this is a flat, running flat into this position, and then we're actually looking to break down from here. So the key thing with that is if this is actually in play, we wouldn't look to move back above this high point here of this 2279, given the current structure that we have. So that's basically the two things on the biggest scale that we're looking at within this. So if we come back down here into this moves, so like I said, we're looking at that potential for this B wave to hold. And the way that I'm currently looking at it is if we count this as a triangle within this move, effectively we count a completion to here, in which case we get this as an ABC to the downside. This would become a B wave, and then we'd have that C wave down. And that is denoted in this next option that we're going to look at, basically looking at this move in this way. So now there's a couple of ways we can look at this. Either we can look at this as an A, B, and then potentially a C, in which case, so if we want to look at this as a five-wave move, what we'd have to say is that potentially this would be 1, 2, and we'd have to say 3 was into here, 4, and then we're getting an extension in the fifth. So I don't really like it. Or alternatively, third wave is still extending, and this would be our 1, 2, 3 down into this low 4, and then 5. But yeah, I don't. Or we would actually still be within that third wave actually, and then look for another fourth and a fifth. So this is still possible. But we'll have to see whether we manage to maintain this 1577. For as long as we hold that, we could actually argue that we're completed. Or alternatively, if we want to look at this rather as a W, an X, and a Y, we could then argue that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 into here. That would be a connector wave. And then basically this would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there is still potential to drop down here towards this 1584 to this 1532, actually all the way to this 1506. That's looking to actually come back into this bigger support zone here. So that would be a 50% retracement, that 1514. And then if we came down lower here, we'd have the golden pocket at this 1390 to this 1356. And then finally, this would be our 786, the 1229. If we start to lose this 1229 zone, it becomes less likely that we're actually going to continue in this upward trend as an A or as a impulse anyway. It becomes less likely. It could still be an ABC to the upside, however. We could still develop something like a zigzag here, but we really wouldn't want to come too much lower than this 786, otherwise it becomes less probable. So let's talk about this current move here. So the way that I'm looking at it is actually as a WXY, looking at this connector wave in here as a WX, and then looking for that Y to the downside. Also an ABC, looking at this whole move as a Y wave, rather. So currently, if we do look at it in this way, what we'd be looking for is evidence of this fifth wave here. So this is the fifth wave rejection zone. The 1677 is that 50%, and we wouldn't really want to come too much higher. We've already interacted with it here. So we wouldn't want to come actually much higher than that. We could look for the potential that there's A, B, C, D, and an E in a triangle, and then we move down. But breaking above this 1690 would invalidate this. Also, this fifth wave would be invalidated by actually breaking back above this 1731 area. If we break back above that, it would invalidate this potential count here, and then we'd actually be looking for that for the potential that actually we've completed into this low here rather, and then we're starting to move away. So we're going to go over that option as well. So within this, what we need to be aware of is that this whole move could actually just still be an A wave, and then we get a move up for a B wave, and then we still get further rejection here. So that's why I've got this channel on here. Potentially we could see something else like this play out where we get a three-wave move back to the upside here, and then we just grind down again one more time for a bigger structure here where this becomes an A, B, and then a C to the downside. So this is something we need to keep an eye on. This channel line, this descending channel we've got here, as well as this rejection zone here. So this 1897 to this 2110. A move up into this range in a three-wave structure could indicate that we could see further continuation down either in a five-wave move, or alternatively, if this is going to become a W, this is an X, and we get one more push for that Y wave, it could also potentially just be three waves to the downside. But if we do get something like that, then potentially we could actually look to come target lower down here in this 1390 to this 1229 zone. So the 618 is quite an interesting one because it's got some relevance with this structure here. Obviously, we do have some lows higher up here. The 50% retracement would be a retest of some of these areas. So yeah, we just got to give it a bit of space here. The main thing is basically if we were looking for that continuation up, this 1229 needs to hold. This whole zone here is a potential turnaround. The fourth wave area is just above here, this 1552, which currently kind of ties in with our drop potential here of this fifth wave into this 1584. So if we do get an additional fifth wave down here, what we'll need to see then is how we react from that. If we get a bigger move to the upside, start to develop from there, and we start to cross some of these lows, it invalidates some of that potential for extension. These swing highs need to get taken out. Otherwise, what we could still get is this could then become another one and a two, and then actually we break down deeper if we fail to break back above these zones like of this 1865. So this is what I'm keeping an eye out on. This because we also talked about it previously. If we're looking at this as potentially a completed move to the upside here as a correction, we were talking about this potential of actually having a breakdown from this zone. And what we're looking at is this as a potential one and a two, and then looking for that additional one. Uh, Basically either a 1-2 or actually we're within this third wave already and we're going to see some further extension. Though confirmation would only come by actually pushing much lower down here. Let me actually just turn off that. Um, so confirmation would only come by pushing much further down here towards this 1257, but that could become possible if we start to get further extension within here. I am with this. I was looking at this potentially as a 1-2 within here with a really short wave 2. So this is something that can play out, but we'd only get further confirmation by actually dropping past this zone of this 1455, where then we could count this potentially as another 1 and 2 in here. Then we'd be looking for a 3, 4, and a 5, and then potentially another fourth and a fifth, which could look to take us down into that zone. So this is worth keeping an eye on. We don't really have the structure currently for this impulse, but it can always develop, and we this could just be setting up a series of ones and twos in here, where this becomes a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, and then next thing we start to drop down and start to form those additional waves needed to complete the sequences. So that is something that I'm still keeping an eye on. If we look at the breakdown one more time here, I'm looking for this 1548 to this 1506. However, like I said, if we start to break down deeper, we could actually be extending out here. If we do move back to the upside, much the same as with the other option, what I'd look out for is the potential that this could then become a 1-2-1-2, and then we break down for a bigger move. So we'd have to be careful of this 1846 to this 2023 area if we do get this additional push to the downside here. And then potentially that's what we'd be looking for. The fourth wave zone is the 1680 to this 1806, so it's quite a large area, but we've actually already come up into it over here. Um, well, we'd be looking at it from here really. So it is possible we could see one more push up here, potentially come up to this 382 or this 50% here at this 1806. And then this could become a fourth wave and then we break down. But I wouldn't want it to get too big because we've only got a very small wave too if we're looking at it in this manner. And what we'd then be looking for is basically to see if we actually push down into this range here. If we want to argue and say we're completed, because when we were talking about this previously, we were saying, where is it? Incomplete there. We actually have come down to this 1-to-1 of this A wave here. So effectively, we've come down to this 1-to-1. So if we manage to hold this 1575 or 77 rather, potentially we could have actually completed in here, and my wave count is wrong. And potentially this could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's completed into here rather. So yeah, we just give it some space and see. But what we'll be looking for within this, for confirmation, if we want to say that we are completed in here, we'd want to see this move away from here. So the reason I'm not too keen on this at the moment is just because of the fact that within this structure here, you would have to argue that this is a diagonal where this becomes a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, like this. Otherwise, it doesn't really fit the shape. Within this looks like a three-wave move. So either we've just got a corrective three-wave move here, or this becomes a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as an A wave or wave one. We come back into this zone here and we look for this push to the upside. So if we're looking for that bullish potential, this would be the closest count that we have currently. Looking for that potential to complete. But like I said, we've got to be a little bit careful because there is a possibility of that fourth wave. And because we only have this as a diagonal, it is less you can rely on it a lot less than when with a simple five wave move. This could be an ending move from back here potentially where this becomes an A, B, and C, or this could just be the start of an A wave, B wave, C wave, and then actually we just break down from there. So at the moment we just have either a diagonal or three wave corrective structure, and what we'd be looking out for here would be the potential to actually within this is either form this as an A, B, and a C, which would come up, and then potentially look to target out this zone of the 1-to-1, which would be off that 618, 1-to-1 would be the 1718. So if we're just going to be a corrective structure, that 1718 zone would be a potential target as an ABC pattern. And then from there, we'd have to see whether we actually maintain these lows or whether we break down. If we start to break down in five-wave structure, then it would make more sense that all of this was a fourth wave, and we're looking for that breakdown. However, if we do find support within the zone of the 1627 to the 1601, what we could look for then is from this low point, looking for that five wave structure to the upside, looking to try and target out the 1784 for more confirmation of a third wave within this. But what we would want to see is, if we did move up to the 1784 zone, got to remember that we've got a swing high here as well. What we want to see is further evidence of this fourth wave here, and then look for that continuation up to this zone of this 1826 to this 1800. So this is one where we could see some bullish structure develop here, but we don't have enough confirmation yet. What we need to see is this bigger move up to the 1784 range first, and then what we'd be looking for is that potential to become a one, looking for this as a B wave or a wave two, and then actually looking for that bigger push to the upside. So I mean, it's a bit early to do this, but if we had to say that we moved back down to the 618 afterwards, we'd only get confirmation by actually breaking back above this zone here of this $20.79. So this is something that can play out, but it's going to take time. and it would rely completely on holding the lows back here at 1581 and 1574. The second we lose those lows, this option is no longer viable. But for as long as we hold that, and as long as we hold the support zone of the 1601, potentially we can still look at that potential of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside, or alternatively, this would become an A, B, and a C pattern to the upside to that 1718 zone. And then what we'd want to see from there is whether we just form three-wave structure down and then we continue up, or if that starts to break down in a bigger five-wave move from that point. So those are the things that I'm currently watching within this count. The bullish option, like I said, completely relies on this 1582 to this 1574 holding. If we do start to break down deeper within this move, you know, potentially these zones could offer us some sort of support. This 50% at this 1514, all the way down to this 1229. This golden pocket area would be an interesting one as well. This 1390 to this 1356. So keep an eye on that. That's looking for that bullish potential to the upside. But yeah, if we start to break down too deep, we just need to also be aware of the fact that we do have that potential to form something like this, where this becomes a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 to the downside. And potentially this would then look to drive us deeper beyond that zone of that 786 and potentially setting a new low here below this 1054. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find links to the Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. Once in the general chat area, just add mention a member of staff. We'll be happy to help you out with anything you may need. Also in the description, you'll find affiliate links for BYBIT and PrimeXBT, both great exchanges that we use on a regular basis. Try if you don't have an account. Using the affiliate link does help support the channel, and we do appreciate it. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care out.